This is just AMZN on Wednesday, February 26th, 2020. Taking a look at the 5 minute. We had a really nice open, similar to 2 days ago where we moved up quickly here. We're in this range still. Actually, let me go back to 2 days ago. I think, yeah, so that was the nice bullish candle up here, opened up here. Actually, let's look at all three of these days because we've been in this range really, really nicely. And you know what I'm going to do here also? I'm just going to copy this channel and see if anything kind of fits. I'm seeing some highs and lows. Now, what's crazy is if I do that, it still lines up pretty well. That's crazy. Yep, we got pretty much a good angle on it a while back, and we're running right back into it again. So another two channels down. It's just the same downtrend we were in up here. It just moved down here. So anyway, just I hadn't drawn that in. It looks like it's kind of working. Excuse me. We're in the same range. You know, we're in the 2013 down to 1972.50 price range. We actually made an inside candle. So we had a slight gap down, traded up, came back down. Actually, the low we made today was made much later. So normally you think of a high wave candle like this, where you dip down first, then go up and come back down, and do kind of like an S shape. If you kind of flipped it sideways, where here, let me sketch what I'm talking about. Where you would open, let's say you opened here and you trade down first and you went up like this and you came back to this. And so there's your close, there's your open, there's your high, there's your low. It's not what happened today. So going back to 5 minute, we opened here, pushed up, came back down. We did like a reverse S and still ended up positive on the day. Kind of a reverse S because there was some back and forth. Anyway, we traded these lines really well again, for probably this portion of the day, really well. Got pretty choppy into the afternoon here. Looked like it was going to push much lower, came back up, chopped around right through our lower pivot here. And then what's really, I think this is really interesting, the price that we almost got back into here in 1990 is the same thing we did here. Almost touched it yesterday, almost touched it today. And that was where we put in a low from 2 days ago. So we've had, obviously we've moved through this price, the 1990 price. Since here, it held as support here. It didn't hold here, and then it did hold as resistance, and then it held as support, held as resistance. Basically, it's just this line is in play, very, very much in play. And so right now we're below it. We were below it yesterday. We had a nice rally coming up right out the gate. Just interesting to see if we have a similar sideways move, another inside candle, or if we get some continuation. I think we're going to get some more continuation lower, or at least we'll gap down and we could fade and move back up. But if we gap down, it's a bearish gap and go. And if we gap down below yesterday and today's lows, it's going to make I don't think it's an island reversal because it's really big. If it's bigger than an island reversal, but you would have a clear gap in this range, depending on where it actually opens. Let's say even we gap down to 1940. Let's say we just gap down there, chop around a little bit, maybe come back up to 1950. Technically, that would leave a range from 1950 to the low here, 1958.42 of, open space, open price, never been traded through. Not never, sorry. We've had prices through that over here, but this is the same range. That's the same range. That's what we did back here. Okay, the low is 1951.55. The high was 1950.90. That is an open gap range. It's not it's technically not been traded through because the low here and the high here still have a very small price amount. So I wonder, I hadn't looked left. Always got to look left. This is just really interesting now. Okay. Stay with me. What if we have a similar move where, we had a bullish candle here, an inside candle that was bear, not quite inside, but kind of flipped of where we're at. This gap down, traded up some, and then ultimately pushed lower. What if we get that here, where we gap down here, trade back up some, keep this same price? Like, what if we keep like 1950, like this price as a gap? Not 1950, 1951. What if it doesn't touch that price tomorrow and stays below it? Then you have this same gap that is going to remain a gap. And if we look even further left, we traded through it here, right? Yep, traded through it there. Traded through it barely, at the top of that here. But there's very few candles that have actually touched the 1951 price up in this range. So I guess that's an interesting price. Oh, there's more over here. There's a gap here too. Is that the right? The low, the high. It's close. This is similar in the 1950s here. It looks like there's been gaps. I don't know why. It's just how it's played out. So right around 1950, there's been a bunch of gaps. There's one here. There's one here. There's one here. There's not one here. There's more through here. So anyway, I was just looking left, trying to figure out what could we do tomorrow. If we gap down, I would anticipate that gap staying open just because we've had so many gaps in that price. I don't even know what that means, that we can have gaps at the same price. It's just a price level that it doesn't trade through or less frequently trades through. We can still continue lower. We can close this gap up. This is a retest gap. We can retest back to here. This is a bullish retest gap. A bullish gap and go. This could still close at some point. Like if we come all the way back down here and close that gap, that'd be a move like I was talking about into the upper 1700s. It's possible to do that. We can also rally out of here and see this thing move up. Like I said, if from where this candle was, I thought we would continue down pretty easily, possibly this week, into this line. And then from there, see what we do. But if we gap down and have another high wave candle, then take it in the direction, just like this one. Go directional with how it moves from that candle. This is a high wave candle. We broke down. Another high wave candle. Like I said, I think we'll break down, but we'll see what happens in the morning. On the 5 minute, because we're still in the same range, I'm looking at the same options. Right out the gate, buying calls way up here. This is a really nice stair step that should have continued if things were more bullish. Did not. Broke down, did a retest into this level, high wave candle, slightly higher high. This was a really nice trap and really ultimate double top here that pushed back down. Nice dragonfly doji here and came right back into the same low. So it bounced again. This is a really nice head and shoulders with a neckline retracement, and that pushed lower. So there was definitely opportunities to be getting into calls, be getting into puts. Maybe easier to zoom out. Okay, so this is the 2050 call we've been looking at, the 1900 put we've been looking at. You can see the double top pricing on the calls. It's a bit harder to see on the puts, but you can still see that there's some clear levels in here that we were getting into and holding. I like how the cursor matches up when I do this. So you can see right through here, we were holding this pivot. We're holding this low. Great opportunity to be buying around 5x4. And that continued higher with puts as the stock broke down, 5 minute broke down. Way up here, this level, that was this price. It was holding around $3 as it did this. You didn't have to get in here because as it broke down, or after it broke down, it retested and came back up to this pivot. And through here, you could have been getting in. So the lows through here were right around $3. So you didn't have to get in on this one, calling the top. You could have waited for a lower high to get in bearish and probably done 325 by 225 or something like that, and held that until it moved down here. The low of the day, previous low of the day, was a great target. The low today, the low on these candles was, let's see, 1968.66, 1969.76. So about $1 apart. Now for the calls, buying out the gate. Buying out the gate could have worked. A little more expensive. And what's crazy here is we had a lower wick that came right back down into that range, and that was this candle. There was just a little more bearishness, or that's a false wick, and that shouldn't be there. Like I said, if you bought out the gate, great. Maybe look at a smaller time frame to see if a 3-minute or a 2-minute or a 1-minute would have given you a nice setup here. But this was still a nice bullish candle, right off of a pivot, moved up quickly. That would have been a really quick trade. You get the same kind of entry here and the same kind of movement up here as it went, from in the first 15 minutes, retraced over the next 20, and then rallied again. You basically got the same option movement. You had a little bit of a bounce here, but this is not one that I'd be buying because you had a nice candle, nice Morningstar reversal, but it's right in the middle of the range. And if you had just been buying here, you'd really want the same entry because more time has passed. Well, it didn't even pull down that far for that entry. It stayed up here from here, unless, again, this is a false wick, in which case you could have been buying here on this first part of the shoulder, but you may not have had the right entry or the right risk. Wouldn't have been $1 risk because this candle's larger and you're buying higher on it or higher in that range. So maybe going out a little further. Again, we're looking at 2050 calls because things are so volatile. These expire this week, so get in and out of these directional moves. Looking for the patterns, looking for the pivots to hold, and then for this, a pivot that didn't hold, where we were retesting a neckline and pushed lower, there wasn't really any sort of clear target for where this could get into, other than getting into a nice round number 1950, which it didn't even push down to do that. Had a nice hammer here, some inside candles, but didn't really do too much directionally. I mean, it just kind of grinded back up. So there were some opportunities to buy some lows through here, and just look to get out as it started to rally, because it was having a nice move here, nice kind of rallying move with some retracements, but you could have really been buying any of these levels through here and a stop here, or a little bit more conservative down further, and just scalped like an R. Like it could have worked to get in at, let's say you got in over here at 350 and got out at 450, maybe even 5. So you're just scalping an R and a half if you did that, and getting out prior to it getting to this pivot in 1990, just because it didn't get into that price again yesterday. Really similar how it moved after that yesterday and today, where we sold back down sharply, but we did move back down. Today we moved back down and just kind of held to the middle. So again, in the middle of a range, we'll see if we get some continuation lower, and see if this kind of head and shoulders turns out to be a bit larger. Any sort of larger pattern, is kind of what I'm looking for here. Not seeing too much other than the hope that this could be a shoulder, a head, and maybe another shoulder if we can go bullish and then higher. But if we have some more continuation lower, then I don't know. If I do another duplicate of this, let me get a little closer here. Duplicated that, and I lined it up. So we came into that pre-market. We'll see if we can get back into that down here some more. It's not, a great setup for channels, but it's kind of guiding. It's kind of doing the same thing. And so I've gotten rid of some of the other channels, but these don't line up with anything back over here really. So it's just been what's happened since we started to do this sort of flag, getting into this channeling, this downtrend channeling a bit. So some opportunities with the calls, some opportunities with the puts, and we'll continue to track and figure out what we can do to figure out what Amazon's doing. Hope this helps. This is Justin Amazon, doing this for 2 years. Thanks for your support.